Alright guys, in your science lesson today, I want you to take a few little notes in your journal just so you have them and they'll be good just to have. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about first is some tools to separate mixtures. Okay, because there's some different tools that we can use, and I have gotten together 4 different mixtures for us to look at today and how we could use these tools. And then I'm going to give you some examples of mixtures, and you're going to tell me what tool you think would make it the easiest to separate. Now, it doesn't mean that there's not more than one right answer, because maybe you could separate them in different ways, and I might take more than one answer, but I want you to really think what would make it the easiest, okay? And that's the thing, is that's why we use tools, to make our jobs easier. All right, so the first tool that I have for you, this is a magnet. It might not look like your typical magnet, but it is definitely a magnet. See, it's stuck to my metal table. Definitely a magnet. Okay, so we have a magnet. Right? And if you want to draw a little picture, I would draw probably like the one you're probably used to seeing, the little horseshoe-shaped one, or you could do the bar magnet. They all have that north and south pole on them. That's going to be helpful if you have anything that's made out of iron or steel that you want to separate that's kind of small, and we're going to do that here in just a second. Now, the next thing I have is right here on the screen. I have my hand. Okay, so your hands sometimes are really good tools for separating. Okay, so I'm going to try to draw a hand here. Good enough. Okay, so I got my hand. Okay, the next thing I have is some tweezers. This is going to be good if you're separating something maybe you don't want to touch with your hands, or maybe they're just really small and you want to pick it apart, okay? So do your best on the drawing of these. These are kind of weird to draw. Here, let's write tweezers first. We kind of got a fat handle this way, and then they kind of come up here and have these little things you squeeze together. Alright, I don't know. Those aren't the greatest tweezers, but they'll work. Oh, look, they stuck to my magnet. They must be made of iron or steel. Okay, they won't come off. Okay, sorry, science is too much fun. Now, the last thing I have is this little device right here. Now, you can see there's holes in the bottom, and it's so, if you want to separate some bigger items and from some really tiny stuff, and you can let the tiny stuff fall through, you might have a big one of these at home when your parents maybe make spaghetti, and you can get the water out of the noodles. Water and noodles, that's a mixture. So we're going to be looking at some things, and they might even call this a strainer. I've heard it called a strainer before. But the science word for it, look, it's sticking to my magnet too. That's funny. Okay. Is sieve. Is a sieve. I'm pretty sure that's how you spell it. Let me get my dictionary and make sure. S-I-E. P-Q-R-S-I-E. V-E. Yep, that's how you spell it. Okay. It's I before E, except after C. That's how I usually go, but sometimes there's some weird words on how you spell things. Have y'all ever heard that? I before E, except after a C. So if this was a C, you would do it opposite of the E and then the I. Just a little spelling rule. It works most of the time. All right, so for our C, let's see if I can draw that. I'm going to do this with some little lines that way, and then some lines that way, and then it's got this like handle thing like that. Okay, so that's to strain out small things from bigger things. So now we're going to look at some different mixtures. These are not all the tools either, guys. I know I've even used like a paper towel to separate mixtures. A paper towel is okay. It kind of works like your sieve here. It works like that, especially if you have some really fine things, like you're trying to get sand and water. You could separate sand and water that way by putting the paper towel over a bowl and pouring it through. I've done that before. Trying to think. If you have some big things you're trying to grab, it's kind of like tweezers, but they're bigger, called tongs. And those grab, I don't know, there's all kinds of tools. These are just the 4 main ones that we're using today. And these are the ones I'm going to be asking you about on your work, okay? So let's look at some of these examples. I'm going to move my journal out of the way. The first one I am going to use, and I'm going to use this little bowl. Hopefully you can see down in it. That's my bowl here. I have some iron filings, like from yesterday. I'm going to pour those in. All right. And then I went ahead and got our little unit cubes from our base tin. So, separated. Now they're all mixed up. The easiest way, because those are made of iron, to separate them is to use your magnet. Let's see if it works. I'm kind of stirring it up. Ooh, look at that. I got a bunch of the iron filings off there, didn't I? Okay, let's see if I can get the rest. I just kind of poke around in there. Yep, look, I got them all. Okay, that didn't take me too long. That made that job easier. I don't think I would have wanted to use my hands because I would have had to pick one at a time, and that would have taken a long time. The magnet made that so much easier. Okay, so here's my next mixture. I went over to one of my little drawers I have in my room, and I got all of my little push pins, and it's a mixture based off color, based off of size and shape. I have some that have circles. I have some that are like little stars. I have some that are just normal, some that are metallic. Okay, so a big mixture of shapes and sizes and colors. Okay, now if I use my magnet, that same tool, it will pick them all up, but does it separate them? No. So the magnet on this one is not a good tool to use. Ooh, ouch, ow, that hurts because these are pokey. So again, my hands, not a good thing to use on these, okay? It doesn't make it easier. It hurts. All right, so because of that, I'm going to use my tweezers, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to put yellow here, and I can do it without poking myself. Yellow. I'm going to separate them by color. There's a yellow. There's a yellow. Does it still take me a little bit of time? Yeah, but I'm not hurting myself, so it makes it easier. And that's what a tool's job is, to make your life easier. Oop, there's another red one. Oop, there's a yellow one right there. And a red one. Okay, so y'all get the idea. Tweezers are good for these kind of things. Ow, I'm poking myself again, guys. Ow. Okay. All right, so next I have my little tub here of Mr. Sketch. Actually, I brought both of my tubs of Mr. Sketch. Yes, these are awesome markers. But let's talk about how we can separate. These I would separate probably by color because they're all pretty much the same except for that. That's why they're still a mixture based off of that physical property. So what I'm going to do first is try my magnet. Oh, that does nothing. That doesn't help. All right. How about my sieve? Will they fall through my sieve here? Oh, no, they don't fall through there. They're too big to go through these holes. All right. What about my tweezers? That is kind of difficult. Okay, that does not make my job easier. My job on this one requires my hands. And I can go, okay, there's a brown, here's a green, here's a green, here's a purple. Here's an orange. Ooh, I got 2 yellows and then blue. I can even probably put them in color order if I wanted to, right? So, pretty fast. Made my job way easy. Thank goodness I have this great tool in front of me, my hands. So you can use your hands sometimes to separate. Alright. Alright, so for my last example today that I have of a mixture for you, I got some sand out of the science lab and I got some pebbles out of the science lab. And I thought, they're separate now, I thought, okay, let's try to mix these together and see if we can get them to separate. So I'm going to pour a few little pebbles there. Ooh, it's a little dusty. Shoo. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. Then I'm going to pour, ooh, that was a lot of sand. I'm going to pour a little bit there, and I'm going to use my hands to mix it up. Let's get a little messy in science. All right, so to separate this mixture, I really think that my sieve is going to work. And I want to put my sand back into the sand bucket. So I'm going to scoop it out with my hands a little bit. And let's see if it works. So you might have to tap it, and this might still take a while, but I still think, oh yeah, look at that. See the rocks? The little pebbles? And I'm tapping, 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 trying to get all the sand to fall through. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but the sand is falling back through the holes. I could keep doing this over and over. And so all the sand is back in the bottom, and all I'm left with is my rocks. And I can pour then my rocks back in the rock bucket. And then I can get another scoop. And I do the same thing. I just keep tapping, 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 and letting the sand fall through. Okay, so the easiest way, even though it still might take a little bit of time, it's going to make it faster than picking out all the rocks, right? Alright, hold on. Oh, I had an escapee. And there, that rock escaped. That's okay, because I can just pick up one rock. Ooh, we're almost there. Shaky, shaky, shaky. Ah, there we go. And now all I have left is my rocks. So in this case, the sieve made it the easiest to separate.